Sakurai is back with Kirby Air Riders and recently gave us a blast of nostalgia with his Kirby Air Riders Nintendo Direct. A good old Sakurai Direct, complete with him showing off in gameplay. Oh, how we missed you. The game even has its own website, reminiscent of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate one. It really feels like we're back in 2018 again. Unfortunately, Air Riders has not been getting the same frequent updates as Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but this isn't really a surprise. Even with the game coming out in just a few short months, it isn't a Nintendo crossover with thousands of referential elements to point out. It's all Kirby, with both original and pre-existing series content throughout. But that doesn't mean we can't make a classic speculation video for the game. And with the recent release of Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World on Nintendo Switch 2, what better game to cover? Could Kirby Air Riders get that brand synergy going and promote its other release this year with content from that game? Given that Sakurai beat the allegations by confirming content from the modern titles he wasn't involved in, like Magolor and Suzy, it is not impossible that Forgotten World also gets some love. So let's start with the part that I know you're all most interested in. Let's talk about potential characters from Forgotten Land that could be made playable in Kirby Air Riders. The obvious first choice from Forgotten Land's cast would be Kirby's new buddy Elfilin. Every modern Kirby game has introduced some important new character who appears in all the promotional material. They might be an ally, an enemy, or sometimes both, and they tend to stick around. Both Magolor and Suzy fall into this group, and Elfilin is the latest addition to the posse. In terms of special abilities, a new feature in Kirby Air Riders, they seem to fall into one of three categories: a big AoE attack that hurts all players in front or around the racer, a massive speed boost that launches the player forward at high speeds until the special depletes, or specials that both attack and boost the player forward. Just not as much and not to the same range as the other two specials on their own. With this in mind, Elfilin would probably have a special similar to Meta Knight and Starman, where his vehicle vanishes and he glides along using his big old ears. Maybe he could even be joined by some Starries for some visual flair. While Elfilin does have powers that are a spoiler in his game, he's not an offensive type character, so we don't think he would have that here. A character who is an offensive type though is the leader of the Beast Pack and primary antagonist of Forgotten Land, Leongar. This intelligent lion is the king of the beasts in the Forgotten Lands, and would make for a great heavy rider. Air Riders appears to have weight classes similar to Mario Kart, and there are only two heavies right now, King Dedede and Chef Kawasaki. Leongar would be a great addition to this group, while also representing the residents of the New World. He's also not totally evil and becomes friendly to Kirby and the gang after the events of the game, much like Magolor and Suzy, so he wouldn't feel out of place in a way that villains like Nightmare and Dark Matter would. As for his special, we think it would be entirely based around attacking, beginning with him viciously swiping his claws in front of him, attacking opponents nearby and to the sides. He then ends with a massive laser blast from the mouth, which reaches far in front, but in a straight line, only harming enemies in front of him. It's similar to his boss attack. Leongar isn't the only member of the Beast Pack that has a shot of getting in the game. Really, any of the gang has a shot, but of his generals, Chloraline is the most popular. I won't explain why, but even Hal puts her above the other members. She gets more figures in Forgotten Land than the others do. She hangs out in Waddle Dee Town after the game is over, and both her and Leongar were the only Beast Pack members to get dress-up masks in Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe, so she's clearly very important. As for her speciality, there are two options. One is an attack-only option, like Leongar, where she throws knives all around her Dio style in an AoE attack. The other is a boost and attack move, where she launches herself forward and slices any opponents who get close to her. That does it really for all the key characters from Forgotten Land, but Air Riders' roster does also contain random enemies like Knuckle Joe, Waddle Doo and Starman, so it's not impossible for some of the mooks to make the cut, and not just be relegated to stage hazards. But looking over this enemy list, nothing really jumps out to us as playable character material. A Woofy is the most recognisable of the bunch, taking the place of Waddle Dee as a generic enemy in this game, but we think that status means he's likely to show up as a stage hazard rather than on a vehicle. Personally speaking, if there are any random enemies making the roster cut, I want it to be Kurori. Technically speaking, he didn't debut in Forgotten Land but in Dreamland 3, but this was his return to the series after over 25 years, so he may as well count. Plus he's just adorable. Peak design, and an easy special where his vehicle becomes a giant snowball and runs over the other riders. Moving away from the riders for a bit, what about other Forgotten Land content that we could see in Kirby Air Riders? Well, most tracks appear to be original, not based on existing games, but some seem to fit the themes of areas seen in other games. Like the first track, Floria Fields, is very similar to Floral Fields from Triple Deluxe. It's not the exact same, but it's at least running with the same theme. All this is to say that a Forgotten City track in Air Riders that calls upon the visuals and themes of downtown Grassland would be close enough for us to say it's a reference, especially if they then used Forgotten Land enemies like a Woofy on the track as hazards. The only other location we could see being referenced are the Alival Mall, which is located in the same natural plains as downtown Grassland and so could appear together, and Wandaria, the abandoned theme park with the Howl mascots. They are both unique enough to Forgotten Land and striking enough aesthetically that we think racetracks based on them would be fantastic. Kirby Air Riders doesn't have items, but it does have copy abilities, and assuming we haven't seen them all yet, both Drill and Gun would be fun additions. We could envision the former letting players go underground and avoid other attacks for a short time, but at the cost of speed and boost pads on the ground, and Gun is pretty self-explanatory. So far, all of the vehicles for Kirby Air Riders are pretty unique to the game, with the exception of Wheelie the enemy and the Warp Star itself, of course. If we were to get anything, I think having something based around the rusty car that Kirby uses in Mouthful mode would be pretty fun. Obviously Kirby can't go Mouthful mode in this game, neither can any of the other characters. That would be really weird to see. Some of them don't even have mouths. And so because of that, I don't expect many of the Mouthful mode abilities to show up at all in Kirby Air Riders. But if any of them were to get the reference, I think it would be the Kirby car mode, and the only way to really do that would be as a vehicle of some kind. One feature that hasn't been shown off yet in Kirby Air Riders, but is primed for content, is this hat icon on the character select screen. Assuming this lets the character wear hats, similar to the dress-up masks from Return to Dreamland Deluxe, it opens the door for a plethora of references. Masks of any character from Forgotten Land are viable, but if we are looking at hats specifically, there are a ton of special Waddle Dees with cute hats we could see added in this game. Astronomer Waddle Dee, Wise Waddle Dee, Weapon Shop Waddle Dee, Cafe Staff Waddle Dee, Delivery Waddle Dee. All of these would make great hats for Bandana Waddle Dee, or on any character depending on how this mechanic works. King Dedede's Wild Mask is also another great option. It was used in Return to Dreamland Deluxe and could make a reappearance here. One really cool option for a hat could be the crystals from Starcross World that appear on top of a lot of the enemies' heads. This would be a neat reference and a specific callback to the Starcross World part of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The last bit of content we could think of from Forgotten Land that could appear in Kirby Air Riders, apart from musical remixes of course, would be events for City Trial. We already know Dynablade and Kracko both appear here, so the door is open for more boss characters to show up as special events. For us, this is where Gorimondo of the Beast Pack would be most fitting. Imagine a King Kong homage where Gorimondo appears at the top of the building in the centre of Skya and riders have to fly around him and attack, like the planes from that movie. It would be a pretty memorable boss event and fits Gorimondo's huge size well. And that really does it for the Forgotten Land content we could see in Kirby Air Riders, at least based on our current knowledge of what modes and mechanics are in the game. I'm sure we'll get a direct soon enough with more information and maybe we'll see some Forgotten Land content then. If you want more Forgotten Land content right now though, then check out our review for Star-Crossed World on our website. We'll have it linked in the corner card and in the description below. And if you want more content like this, talking about content from other Kirby games we could see in Air Riders, then just let us know in the comments below. There are plenty of other games like Kirby 64 and Kirby Star Allies that have little to no content appearing so far, and so might make for fun videos. Until then, I want to thank all of you for watching, and I want to thank all of our patrons for supporting us. The $5 plus tier are appearing on screen right now. You can join them by following the link down in the description below. If we do end up making more content in this style, you don't want to miss it, so make sure you like and subscribe, so that you always remember to return to the source.